get the message, but we're back this week, and things are going very good. I see Bill and Mike in the queue, so let's get things started here. Uh, Mike, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very good, sir. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Hey, another Saturday. We're all back uh, doing our thing. Kind of missed some of the important games last week, but hey, it's another week in college football, and we got more drama, so it's it's not like we missed out on anything. So
Yeah, a lot has happened. There's a lot to be discussed.
yes. Where is Demetrius? We have to get Demetrius in here. I
It's
tried to.
like the thing with where is Carmen San Diego? We need to have like a little chart.
There you go. So,
That little theme music. Where is Demetrius Verges? Where could he be?
Bill, I see you're in a great mood this
Oh
morning,
yeah.
man. How you doing?
Hey kids, who knows what Pocatello, Idaho is? Demetrius does.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it's this is my favorite time of year in many ways. Hats off and shout out, obviously, to we talked a little bit about the World Series. The Braves are one of those franchises that does it right. I wish, I wish my Yankees would take a lesson from it. You don't always have to just throw a bunch of money around in free agency. There's other ways to win, and your team doesn't have to look like a football team. You don't win in baseball just by having the most 240-pound guys. Yankees, you don't just have to have a bunch of huge people. You can have baseball players that look like baseball players. But it's not about me and my feelings. This is the time of year when most teams are deep into, at least the college level, are deep into their conference schedule. We have a good idea of who's good and who's bad and all that kind of fun stuff. And on top of that, in addition to that, added to that, whatever term you want to use, obviously in the pro game, we're starting to talk about if the playoffs started today. This is the time of year. Officially, it's this week when you start hearing that phrase. Even though the season is really just about half over, but it's enough for people to start projecting outward. And for me, in draft world, this is when people's knives come out, right? It's all friendly in draft Twitter. The first, mostly the preseason, and then even the first several weeks of the season. Now it's like, how can you not have so and so on your list? Are you a heathen? Do you eat babies? So yes, it is the time of year when the knives come out in draft Twitter. I'm half kidding, but yes, I've seen some pretty heated arguments beginning to kick up as some people talk about their prospect rankings. So it's a lot, right? A lot's going on, and then obviously we had the tragedy going with Henry Ruggs and the young woman Tina Tintor and her dog that lost their lives 100% unnecessarily, and a lot, right? And now the Odell Beckham Jr. watch, which is like a daily thing now, where I don't know what people think is going to happen. I mean,
we'll talk a little bit about that as far as fantasy football is concerned. We'll talk a little bit about OBJ too. So we'll kind of save the OBJ discussion.
Right. Well, it helps the DPJ owners because I'll tell you that's what it does do. It helps
and Mike, any comments on the World Series, or did you get surprised with the Braves so handling the Astros? The Astros bats in particular. I'm not a big baseball guy, but I mean, it is the first time the Braves won since 1995. Even I was young then. So, your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, the Braves have always sort of been that team that always sort of, especially in the '90s, as you're talking about, always got to the World Series, but never figured out how to actually win the World Series. And they did it once. I forget who it was against, but they were there like for five out of 6 years or some crazy amount of numbers. And finally won. And then when they played the Astros and Dusty Baker as a manager, it's like you can almost just guarantee that the Astros are going to lose because Dusty Baker has just a horrible track record. I mean, he has not won a World Series, but he always seems to get the worst of the worst teams to the playoffs and maybe sometimes to the World Series. But yeah, I think I think a lot of Dodger fans, even though they lost to the Braves, were probably happy that the Astros beat them because the Braves beat them because they're all that long history or that 1 year of history that they just feel like they were cheated out of something. I think we lost.
Oh, James?
Yeah.
Well, then I'll ask some questions. And we'll
all
see.
right.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of my friends who are serious baseball fans who rooted for Toronto or rooted for whoever it is became Dodgers fans, at least temporarily.
Right.
Right. Because, as you said, 1 year that we can prove, but I'm almost certain more than 1 year because you don't just wake up one morning and say, hey, guys, why don't we try this? That's usually something that evolves slowly over time within a team's culture and within a team's dugout, where you start slow or small. It's just in a certain situation. I mean, this guy's really been killing us. What can we do, right? And then slowly but surely it goes from being this one thing you did against this one guy to standard operating procedure.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Mike, how impressed with you with last Saturday's 5 touchdown showing of Michigan State?
Oh my goodness. that Michigan had that game won. It was basically a bucket win. They were
until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and until the fourth quarter, like midway through the third and then into the fourth, and Michigan just forgot how to play football. Couldn't stop. I can't remember the running back's name.
Kenneth Walker III.
Yes.
It's a name we continue to hear. He's going to have a NFL career.
Oh yeah, he's fast, and just gets through the holes, finds the gaps. This dude is awesome, and made it known against Michigan because they just said, "Here, take it, go to the house." Michigan was just like, "I don't know how to stop this guy. I don't know, we'll just try to tackle him somehow," but it never worked. So
the last touchdown, did he get touched at all? I mean,
I don't think he did.
I know that the one that in the first touchdown in the fourth quarter after he broke through the line, he was relatively untouched before he got to the end zone.
Yeah, there was a lot of times he ran for 60 yards and it was like it barely touched. It looked like there was nobody there. I mean, Michigan could have just took a timeout or not a timeout, just pulled the defense off the field and give them a rest because they weren't going to catch them anyways or tackle them. So might as well just stay off the field.
Were you surprised with everybody talks about the back, but that offensive line was really opening up holes. Was that just due to the strength of they just wore down that defense by the defense being slightly smaller, or did they just want it more?
I think they just wanted it more because Michigan was dominating. The tide sort of turned. The Michigan was in control of the game. And then I think they went for a fake punt or something or a fumble. I can't really remember, but they tried something on fourth down and it didn't work. And they turned the ball over. And that sort of just gave Michigan State the momentum and sparked the momentum. And I'm like, why are you going for this? This doesn't make any sense. It's like,
was it a 4th and 2 or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. And it just didn't make any sense to me why you even wanted to. If they made it, then they probably would have controlled the rest of that game. But I think it's just too much of a risk. And then, once they didn't make it, then that sparked Michigan State, and they just took it from there.
Bill, what did you see?
So,
That I mean, you probably
yeah,
scouted half of these, if not
well,
more,
I
the
mean, as you
offensive
might
line.
remember, I told you first game of the season I saw was Northwestern versus Michigan State, and I'd seen some of Kenneth Walker the third. He never really was the guy though at Wake Forest, which is amazing to say. Though he was very productive, he was a guy getting 800 and something odd yards rushing a season as a part-time running back. I mean, he wasn't not the guy, and still was super productive, averaging. You'd see look at the game log, and you'd see that he got 12, 13 carries and still got 90 yards. Maybe just maybe they should the ball more. Right? I was thinking that when I was watching Wake Forest in previous seasons. And then, of course, he has an opportunity to go to a team that wants to downhill run, right? Because they didn't do that so much. Everything's zone read based in the running game at Wake Forest. So you don't get that momentum heading downhill. Now, luckily, he's such a good athlete, as we now all know, that he was still able to get up to speed in 2 steps. He's got that immediate quick start acceleration. But when you can add to that some actual down running plays, which he's now getting at Michigan State, he can catch the ball. He can hold up in blitz, as you got to see. He can hold up reasonably well in blitz pickup. He's a complete back. I heard a lot of people call him a scat back earlier in the season. I was like, I've got down to field level and looked at this guy. He's not enormous, but he's bigger than guys like Ray Rice. Ray Rice was a scat back. He played all 3 downs at the NFL level. He's bigger than Ray Rice. He's about almost 10 pounds heavier probably than Rice, and he's 212 or 213 pounds. He's about 5'10" and a quarter. So he's not a giant, but I mean, here's guys who's exactly the same size as Marshall Faulk. He did all right last I checked. He's a little bit bigger than Walter Payton. He did okay. So I don't know why people keeps putting the scat back label on him. I've seen him truck people. I mean, run straight over people. I mean, if that's a scat back, I shudder to see what you think a big back looks like, or a power back looks like. So I've been on this guy for a while. I talked about him first game of the season.
Well, what about the line though?
Well, I mean, the line's always been Michigan State. Even Michigan State's down years, they always have good offensive linemen, right? They've always been a school that you can find 2-3 guys who are going to play on the NFL level. Even the years when they go 5 and 7, that's a given. They're almost like Wisconsin in that way. If you just look back to the history of that program, try to find me a year where there wasn't at least one legitimate NFL offensive lineman on that team. And Michigan's defensive line isn't small by any stretch of the imagination, at least not in college football standards. They're a good-sized line, but they're built to rush the passer. That's the bigger issue. And when they can't force you to throw the football, I mean, it's true of most defensive lines. I mean, you always, especially if you're focused and your strength is rushing the passer, and somebody's able to just run the ball, I don't care who you are. I mean, you could literally have, Reggie White, whoever it is, name them all. If you're just running the football effectively, constantly, one is it starts to affect your mindset, right? I mean, I didn't play on the line, at least not after the age of 6. So, I was a defensive end for my first year playing football. Shout out to Clarkston Hines, my other defensive end teammate, who later went on to be the leading receiver in the history of the ACC under Steve Spurrier. But it starts to affect the way you see the game, how you feel about yourself as a person, how food tastes, how the air smells. When somebody's just able to run the ball on you, seemingly it will. It doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter how strong you are. Teams don't need to blow you off the ball to run the football. Sometimes they did blow them off the ball. This is Kenneth Walker. If you give him that, that's enough. That's enough. What was the when they did that NFL Films thing on the late great Gale Sayers? Just give me 18 inches of daylight. That's all I need. 18 inches of daylight. Right? That's all he needs. You don't have to kill the defense. You just need to make a crack. That's quick.
Yep.
Okay, let's get into our fantasy football here before we get into predictions, because we certainly have a lot to talk about. Derrick Henry goes down, as we talked about on the show Thursday, Bill. Excuse me, that what a difference this makes in the Titans. So thinking about fantasy, Mike, what do you do if you're a Derrick Henry owner here? Do you pick up Adrian Peterson that they just got, and Bill says he's going to surprise a lot of people. He comes in shape, and don't be surprised if he comes in and puts up uh, legitimate numbers. Do we go with the backup, Jeremy McNicholas, or do we go elsewhere, Mike?
I think Adrian Peterson is a solid running back, but he's not going to offer you catches or those kind of things. He's strictly a runner, so the points will be minimalized. He's not going to bust one like Derrick Henry can do almost every game, where he just breaks down the defense, and then by the third quarter he gets the ball and he goes for 70 yards. That's not going to be Adrian Peterson. So you're going to get maybe at max, maybe 80 yards, which is about 8 points, and then maybe a touchdown. So you're looking at anywhere between 8 and 14 points for Adrian Peterson on a weekly basis. McNicholas is almost the same, where he's going to catch a lot more passes just strictly because Adrian Peterson can't do it. And, well, not can't do it, just is not in his capabilities of doing so. So McNicholas will be the third down back, and he'll get 3 to 5 targets and catch 30 yards or so, 30 or 40 yards. So he's like anywhere between an 8 and 10 point kind of running back. So they're pretty much the same as far as points go. But to look on the waiver wire and to see if somebody is out there is better than any of these two, good luck, because there's not much out there anymore. And you might find someone who drops someone, but I'd either go McNicholas or Peterson. They also brought in Deontay Foreman.
Correct.
So he might be an interesting, but he's always hurt. He always gets
Deontay Foreman is an interesting dynasty play, maybe.
Sure.
He does enough this year to justify anything.
Find a job somewhere, possibly, but they always like him too. So he always finds a job. He's an
when you're 240 and can run, you're always going to get a shot. The problem is he hasn't showed he can consistently pick up blocking seams quickly, and he doesn't give you much. We just talked about Adrian Peterson not being a guy that gives you a lot in the passing game. I mean, Deontay Foreman's not exactly young Marshall Faulk either when it comes to that. Right. And he doesn't seem to pick up offense like that. I mean, he's a guy that needs reps, a reps guy, as they say.
Yes, exactly.
And when a guy's like a practice squad guy or a third stringer, but needs reps to pick stuff up, that's a really terrible combination. But, but his talent, if somehow he gets in a situation where there's like a calamity and you lose 2 or 3 running backs in a really short span, and all of a sudden he's off the practice squad and he's starting getting reps, they might say, "Oh, this kid's got something," and he might get a chance. But it's so hard. Like, I don't think people understand how hard it is to make an NFL roster. Even if you're ungodly talented, it takes the right opportunity, it takes the right things happening, and it just hasn't happened to him yet. But as like a dart throw dynasty kind of situation, especially if you just have an open roster spot because you dropped someone that you decided you hated, he might be worth picking up in the hopes that he gets an opportunity.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
And can you trust? I mean, how much trust can you have in AP to stay healthy? After Derrick Henry goes down. So
yeah, I don't think he's ever had a problem.
He's had one bad injury once in his entire extremely long.
Yeah, but he's
been a tank.
He's what, 34 years old now? Though?
36.
36. Where you been? Evidently not around for 2 years. Adrian Peterson's life.
Right, exactly.
And there's definitely a risk, especially as you mentioned, 36 years old. But yeah, for the most part, he's been, outside of that ACL tear that he had, he's been healthy. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why they brought Deontay Foreman in, and they're like, okay, well, if AP can't, gets hurt or something, and at least we have him. But I do believe that Adrian Peterson and Jerry McNicholas are worth picking up off the waiver wire.
Yeah.
Now, I know everybody's probably not like me, but as I told you guys, I usually pick 2 quarterbacks. This week, of course, Tom Brady is on a bye week. And of course, my backup would happen to be Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, no.
So I go to the waiver wire. Here are my choices. I have Trevor Lawrence, Wilson, Darnold, or I pick up Mr. Love.
I don't even know if Jordan Love's even going to. Have they announced that he's going to be the starter?
They haven't announced it, but I can't believe they could get.
I mean, who I can't.
Bortles was in camp, so
right.
he sort of knows the offense. But I can't believe they hand him the keys to the car. Maybe. I mean.
No. I mean, come on. Think of how they drafted Jordan Love and all the there's no way that they cannot start Jordan Love.
Well, there's a way, but it would be a terrible commentary.
Everybody in Green Bay would get up and walk out of the stadium. I mean, come on, really, come on. I mean, and I'm not even a Packer fan, but I mean, seriously, we tolerated.
I'm assuming he'll get the start, at least in part because they do kind of have an itch to see what they've got. Right? They do kind of want to know.
Sooner or later, you got to kick the tires. Aaron Rodgers is going to be out at least 2 weeks.
Right,
Who are you going to start? You got to kick the tires sooner or later.
Right. Now, if he goes out and
he will definitely be on the waiver wire that you can pick him up.
Sure.
Yeah.
So out of those 4, and I also have the Giants quarterback.
Danny Dimes?
Okay, so out of those 5, where should I go?
So that's got to be matchup dependent, right, Mike? You got to look at a situation like that.
Yeah, especially if you're going to stream for 1 or 2 weeks. I don't know who Jacksonville is playing off the top of my head.
Well, right now it doesn't matter who they're playing. Well, I mean,
it does, Jay.
Well, basically it doesn't because Brady's on a bye. Rodgers is on COVID, so I either have to take a 0 or I have to pick one of these guys.
No, I got that part, but I'm saying what kind of performance you're going to get is these are kind of guys on who they're playing. So, Wilson's available, and it's a halfway decent matchup. I'm probably going there, but
isn't Russell still on IR?
Yeah,
I believe Russell's still on IR too.
Right. Well, then, I mean, I thought you mentioned when you said Wilson, you couldn't have meant Zach Wilson because he's on IR. So who'd you be when you said Wilson?
Mac Wilson. Isn't it Mac Wilson?
That is not his name. That is not his name. You're making up people now, Jay. You're making up.
What's that? Oh, wait, hold on.
Michael McCorkle Jones? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, there you go. Michael Jones. Yeah, okay. Jones. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It's hard to advise you when you make up people.
So I would not pick up Lawrence because he plays the Bills. That's not going to work.
Yeah, that's not a good matchup. Yeah.
And then who? I'm sorry. You said Trevor Lawrence.
You have Darnold. Yeah.
Against New England. Okay.
They're playing New England.
Keep going.
And let's see. Well, we know Love is against Kansas City. I mean, yeah.
That might be the best matchup, actually, but keep going. Case.
No, that's it. Mac, Lawrence, Darnold, or Love.
Well, who are the? Wait, hold on. The Patriots are playing the Jaguars, right?
Right. The Patriots are playing the Jaguars.
No, the Panthers.
I mean Panthers. Sorry, right. Darnold and Mac Jones are
facing each other.
Facing each other's teams. Okay. Expert Mike, but it seems like the best matchup might actually be for Love. But you tell me what you see.
Let's see where Green Bay is playing.
Green Bay is playing Kansas City.
Oh, Kansas City. Yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
Oh man, how risk averse are you?
There we go. Right. Don't you love when like your broker asks you that question?
If
How do you feel about losing all of your money versus losing some of your money?
Right, exactly.
Okay, actually, my pick on this, I took the Giants quarterback,
Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
that's a safe one. He's gonna get you some rushing yards, secure your floor. Now it's just whether a question of how many touchdowns he's gonna throw. That's probably it. But you're looking at that with everybody. Mac Jones.
I'm thinking that he's the best matchup, even though it is the Giants to get points.
Raiders are pretty good defensively. As far as against the pass. I don't have a problem with Jones. I think that's fine.
OBJ and the Clowns cut bait.
Yeah, they did.
So what's his fantasy value? Do I trade him? Do I keep him on the bench? What do I do?
I would keep. You're not going to get anything for him straight up. But so I would hold on to him, see where he goes, and then if you want to decide on, if he's a pickup on some like the Jaguars or the Houston Texans, something that effect.
Or the Colts actually have a lot of cap space. T.Y. Hilton's hurt. I mean, there's a few teams that make sense, and obviously we know what happened.
The Raiders, of course.
Right, I was going to say obviously.
Yeah, the Raiders.
You have to think about this. Those other two teams in the North, the Ravens and the Steelers. You have to think about both of those.
Yeah, for sure. So if he goes to a team that you're like, okay, I like where he is and stuff like that, then fine. So I would hold, see where he goes, and if he goes somewhere bad, then you could just go, cut him because, yeah, or trade him, see if someone else likes him, I guess. But I would always offer someone like Odell Beckham for trade, then cut him first. If no one's interested, then go ahead and cut him.
Well, I mean, considering the what he's put up in fantasy value, what can you get for him?
Well, now nothing.
Nothing. Yes.
But if he goes to an explosive team, you'll have interest. Because then they'll be like, oh, they're going to use him. They're going to go to him. They're going to score points, blah, blah, blah. And that might be the possibility. I would definitely see who the quarterback is. If it's Ben Roethlisberger, then, Odell and Ben aren't going to be making, much points together.
Well, I mentioned those teams, but, you also, have to think of, now you're in week 9, you're almost halfway through the season. Are you going to introduce an Odell Beckham and his family, drama into your locker room?
I wouldn't. If I'm
the Raiders have proven they're not afraid of that. Haven't they demonstrated to us?
But the Raiders are the exception, not the rule.
I'm agreeing with you.
So I'm saying for a regular team. I mean, come on, there are a lot of teams that Jacksonville could probably use him, but are you going to bring?
Yeah, I don't see him being a good fit for their locker room.
Right.
You got Urban Meyer there, so they'll be buddies.
Woo!
Parker just went down in Miami. I mean, there are other possibilities.
Sure.
But would you bring him into a locker room that's a young locker room that you're trying to build?
No. Well, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. I mean, the ones that make sense are teams that believe that they're contenders, right? That's the first thing that it doesn't make sense if you don't believe you're a contender. The Raiders believe they're contenders and they're kind of right. So that one makes sense. The Colts are close. They could use a deep threat and they've got amongst the good teams in the NFL, they have more cap room than any other good team in the NFL. Who else kind of sort of makes sense? The Steelers don't really have cap space, but they do have a strong enough nucleus of leadership in their locker room to withstand. So OBJ would have to come in for essentially a show me kind of deal. You know,
he would probably have to come in on a deal like AB came in to the Buccaneers.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. That's called a show me deal, right?
Yeah,
Show me that you really want to play football, and show me that you will act right because I'm not paying you. He's not initially until you prove those things.
Mm-hmm. Mike, I'm not quite sure what happened Thursday night because at one time I looked at the score and I think it was 45 or something to 10. Yeah. Then I look around again and the final score is like 45 to 30 something. What happened? And especially explain the breakout in fantasy for Himes.
Yeah, he got a lot of targets too. Scored a touchdown. It was just more for Hines. It was more the odds were about to finally happen and break his way, just because you have Hines out there every single a lot, and the volume is there for a lot of plays, but usually they're thrown to the tight end or to a intermediate receiver, and it finally just went his way. So I'm not counting on it next week. It was just one of those things that happened because there's a player on the field that is on the field quite a bit, and he finally got rewarded for being on the field quite a bit. As far as the score goes, I think the Colts just relaxed. They're always in a tough matchup and a tough game and always fighting and always trying to claw for that victory. Yeah. That when they jumped up such a high scoring game, I think the defense just sort of relaxed a little bit and just took a breath, and it was just like, okay, we got this. And of course it doesn't help when you're playing soft defense because you're such a high scoring game that you sort of just allow the majority of the field to the offense, and I'm trying to keep them in bounds so they're able to move chunk yards. But I think it was just a combination of both, one, relief, and two, just defensive soft play.
Yeah, because I looked around. I played the Colts defense. I looked around, and at one time, I think they had like 15 points or something like that. And I come back at the end of the game, and I think they have 4.
Yeah, because they scored so many points on them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Well, well, game script has a lot to do with, once again, Social Lucky Fantasy, has a lot to do with how, not only how offenses perform, but also a lot to do with how defenses perform. When you get a big lead, when you're up against a team that you don't expect to do certain things, when a team is on their third quarterback, you change the way you play defense, right? You say, oh yeah, sure, try to beat us throwing the ball deep. You're on your third quarterback. Josh Johnson, I forgot he was still in the NFL.
Yeah, okay. That was
we don't have to worry so much. We don't have to worry so much about such and such. Hey, just so you play differently. When it's funny, I've been a fan of Josh Johnson since he played for Harbaugh, and that was his coach back at University of San Diego, not San Diego State. No, this is a small private school, the Toreros, not the Aztecs. But I saw him in college, and I was like, this guy's got something. He was slender as heck then. He's put on a lot of good weight since then. He's like 6'3" and change. He was like 180 something, 190 at most when I first saw him. But he's got a nice little, I forgot you were still in the league career for himself.
It's funny you mentioned the Toreros. I can actually see that little college sitting up on the hill from where I live, and if I go down, downtown to the U.S. Midway Museum, that's I know it sounds funny to guys my age, the U.S. Midway being a museum. but it is down here in
It
San
is.
Diego,
Right.
and the Toreros. When you, it looks like more like a high school football stadium. It doesn't.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't. I mean, when you consider, everything that they put into the University of, into San Diego State. Where you got, Chris Long was the coach, and then you had the good basketball program, and then you look at the Toreros, and they're like what? Not even is that considered Division Three, Bill?
No, they're FCS, but they're FCS non-scholarship. They play in
Okay.
the Pioneer League. I know way too much about this, but they play in the league. They are an FCS but non-scholarship FCS program. So the guys that are there on scholarship are there on academic scholarship. They are not there on athletic scholarship.
Yeah, they don't do that. Yeah, but yeah. So, let's see another guy that moved this week, and he probably doesn't make that as far as if you're playing in the standard league and you're just playing the whole defense. But what about Von Miller as his IDP value now that he's a Ram?
Yeah, Von Miller is sort of getting up there, getting long in the tooth, but I think he improves a little bit just because the Rams are a better defense than the Broncos, but it's not like a huge gap of one's so much better than the other. So when you have a better defense, then you have help from other players, and you can concentrate on what you need to do. So you're not covering other people's positions and doing, extending yourself in other ways where you're trying to fill in those gaps. So he can play his position, focus on his position, and do what he needs to do. So I do see a small bump with Von Miller. I just don't see it being an extraordinarily large one.
Yeah, and as I said on Thursday, he's not going to be a full-time player, and he doesn't have to be. Like, he can be very productive playing 28, 32, 25, 38 in a big workload kind of snaps, right? He's probably going to play he's going to play probably 40-ish percent more or less, 35, 40, percent, between a third and 40% probably of the snaps he's going to be on the field. And he's going to be a DPR, designated pass rusher. And guess what? He's still going to be productive doing that, but he's not a full-time player for them, most likely.
Yeah, his age is just sort of, but he does offer that for the Rams, and they're going to be better for it for sure.
Well, Mike, give us Bill, do you have any questions before we move on to the stardom sit-em?
I think my questions are all probably stardom sit-em questions. So yes, because we could go.
All right, Mike, let's stardom sit-em. Of course, Jarvis Landry and some of that whole Cleveland wide receiving core is open.
Yeah.
But your quarterback is Baker Mayfield. So your thoughts? Yeah.
I think Jarvis Landry is a flex play. If you're rostered Jarvis Landry, then you're going to want to put him out there in the flex options unless you have better ones. But he's not going to score a touchdown probably. He's probably only going to catch like 5 to 6 passes for 80 yards, which is not too bad. You're looking at almost like 13 points, which is pretty good for a flex spot. But it's not going to be something phenomenal or anything to that effect. So I would start him, but only in a flex spot.
Okay. Let's see. We don't have Kareem Hunt, but we got Nick Chubb, right?
Absolutely start Nick Chubb. Yeah, for sure.
Well, go down through that first game if you want. That's Cleveland, Cincinnati.
Sure, I can do that. So we talked about Landry and Chubb, and that's
we're just strictly talking about players, not scores now. So
right, gotcha. And then the Bengals, you're going to go Jamar Chase, Burrow, and T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, and maybe CJ Uzomah if you don't have anything better at tight end. But those are
And
the
in
guys.
one of my teams, I do not.
I'm with you, Bill. I have to start him this. I mean, with Tunyon going out and some of the other tight ends, and you got a bye week. So I think if you don't have Kelsey, you're pretty much shopping for a tight end this week.
Yeah, for sure. It gets pretty once you start getting injuries and bye weeks. The field definitely narrows. And then, do you want me to continue,
no,
or do you want me?
Baker starting, sitting? But I mean, what do we do?
You sit him. There's no reason to start Baker Mayfield unless you're in a 2 QB league or something to that effect. But anything outside of your standard, 1 QB leagues, you're not starting him at all.
Baker and in some leagues, Baker is out on waivers even. So.
Oh yeah, he's probably out there. He's just not any good. I mean, he's QB 19, 21. That guy. I mean, he's just
Well, keep on going. You can go down your line. We can go down mine, I guess. Denver, Dallas. Start 'em, sit 'em.
Denver. You want to start Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. I don't know if Noah Fant is healthy, but if he is, then you're going to want him. Dallas, CeeDee Lamb, Mari Cooper, Dalton Schultz, and of course Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. So most of your Cowboys you're going to want to get out there for sure.
Houston, Miami.
I don't think there's any outside of Brandon Cooks. Nobody. Miami, Mike Gesicki, maybe Myles Gaskin. That's an iffy because it depends on your roster.
And Parker's out, remember.
And Devontae Parker's out. So Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is a good PPR guy. That's about it for them.
Atlanta, New Orleans.
Atlanta, you're going to want Patterson out there and Kyle Pitts. As far as Saints, Kamara, that's it.
I was going to say Kamara. What about the new kid? He's not the new kid. What is it?
Morgan Ingram?
No, I'm thinking of the wide receiver for the Saints.
Are you thinking about
Callaway?
Callaway.
Yeah.
I mean, if Callaway is one of those guys that are going to get 3 for 80, if those kind of things, or get nothing, he might catch a touchdown or get nothing. So you're really kind of rolling the dice there. I don't start those kind of guys unless my roster is full of like Hunter Renfrow and Jacoby Myers and just someone that I really need to put someone in there that could explode and give me those big points.
Trevor Simeon?
I wouldn't start him. Was he named the starting quarterback, or is it?
They haven't said that he's
well.
The starting
let me
quarterback.
put it this way: he's taking the starters' reps in practice.
Right.
Oh, okay, so he's going to be the starting quarterback. I wouldn't either way. I'm not going to start Trevor Simeon.
They've made it clear that Hill would not be the starting quarterback. The Raiders at the Giants.
You want to go with Carr. If Josh Jacobs is healthy, you want to go Josh Jacobs. If he's not, Kenyon Drake might be someone. And then wide receiver, Hunter Renfrow maybe as a flex. Darren Waller, of course. And then the Giants, you definitely want to get Sterling Shepard maybe in there. That's probably it.
Okay. New England at Carolina. New England's on a roll here, man.
Yeah, Damian Harris for sure. DJ Moore and maybe Hunter Henry as far as the tight end goes. That's probably it for those two teams. Chuba Hubbard probably a starter. So yeah.
Jacoby Myers.
He's fallen off. I really like Jacoby Myers for like the beginning of the season all the way up until like the last 3 weeks. He was someone that you could count on for double-digit points. Now he's just fallen off. It's like 3 for 50. It's more been Kendrick Bourne than it has actually been Jacoby Myers.
Speaking of this game, do you think that there might be a little bit of get back at in this game? There was a trade made at the deadline, and we do have a cornerback going to Carolina that might have just a little chip on his shoulder.
Might be going after it.
What do you think? What do you think, Bill? You know about these situations. What do you think? Is that Carolina defense going to put on a little extra oomph this week?
I mean, the Carolina defense is going to play hard. What I've come to what concerns me is when a team struggles in certain areas, and then the team they're playing is strong in the areas where one team struggles. There's a couple of teams in the NFL that just cannot get consistent pass rush to save their lives, right? And teams that can't get consistent pass rush. I mean, we just talked about, or not this episode, but previously about the Chiefs' issues, worries, concerns. One that people don't mention nearly enough is that, they gave up assets, monetary and draft, to bring in guys like Frank Clark, and he's been near the bottom of the NFL in terms of pass pressures per pass rush snaps, near the bottom. There's a long list of dudes that have absolutely blown him out of the water, including some of the guys that they had on the team previously. So that was an expensive mistake, and I'm a big Brett Veach fan. But Frank Clark was a guy they should have just used it as a rental and moved on from and brought in someone else. And I thought that at the time, and I unfortunately have been proven correct on that. The Carolina Panthers do not have a single, oh my God, how do we stop that guy defender, right? You don't have a guy who think, man, what are we going to do against, obviously not everybody can have a Julius Peppers. Well, they had one, but that was a while back. But not everybody can have a Julius Peppers or Reggie White or a Von Miller. I mean, every team can have that. Young Justin James Watt, people like that. They do things correctly, like it's a smart defense. When they get beaten, it's not usually a up here thing. It's a we don't have great talent thing in certain positions on defense yet at least. I'm trying to think of how you probably know better than I have. How have they scored as a defense this year so far, Mike? Carolina's defense.
They've been okay,
but I could be wrong.
They've been all right. They've had good games, some bad games, but I guess
they've only had 2 real blowouts, I think.
Yeah. It's up and coming. They last year they were really bad up until like week 8. So it's more of a developing defense than anything right now.
Okay. And that probably roughly matches up with what I was thinking about that as a team, about them as a team. There's only a handful of defenses that are consistently good enough that you say, "Oh, I want to make sure I have
every week." Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Right.
And
other than that, you're probably
there hasn't been one this year. When you look at Buffalo, the very first game of the year, they've been great since then. You look at if you want to consider the Cowboys, their first couple games, so there hasn't been that one consistent defense that's going to give you a bunch of points. But we've had some where you get 4 points one week, and then the next week you get 12. You get 1 point one week, and then the next week you get 8. So I think this is a year, Mike. When you look at fantasy football, I don't think you can pick one or two defenses that have been actually consistent. Can you?
Not really. Even the Buccaneers,
Right.
they were just a terror on the football field, both against the pass and against the run last season. And this year, they're horrible against the pass, and the run is starting to look worse and worse each week. So it's I mean, and Washington fell off.
Yeah, I mean,
Cleveland,
every defense that we picked, and even when you go down and you look at the stars on defense, and then you look at 1 week they gave up 30 points. One week, they gave up 27 points again. So and only scored 30. But so I think defenses have, when you look at them as a whole, they've been very inconsistent. I don't know if you guys have, dynasty or IDP players that have probably been very consistent for you, but that might be a whole different discussion. What about on that end, Mike? When you're talking about dynasty and IDP leagues, were there some players that have actually stood out all year?
Yeah, there's been a couple. Off the top of my head, I can't think of who they are. I'd actually have to look at them, but
well, we could probably ask Bill. I mean,
Bill. Yeah.
Bill, dynasty players or IDPs?
Yeah, well, I mean, so for me, what I want in a dynasty player is a guy who can be a guy who I can slap into my lineup even as a rookie like Michael Pittman Jr., right? A guy that's a dynasty. Like,
we're talking about I'm talking about defenses now.
Oh, you're on defense. You're on defense. Yeah, okay. Good ID. I thought you said dynasty or IDP. Okay, so you're talking.
But I was just talking about in defenses on either one. Like if you take like Micah Parsons, for instance, might be a player that has consistently performed.
So
I mean,
I have.
Whereas you have Ndamukong Suh that might be up and down.
Right. Well, I mean, Ndamukong Suh once again is moving into being a part-time player, so that wouldn't be a guy that he doesn't play enough snaps for it to make sense to select as an IDP. You want, when you're picking an IDP players, you want the following things. You want them to play positions where they're likely to get opportunities to get their hands on the football, right? That's one thing you're looking for. And or get sacks. Ideally, both, right? Interceptions, fumbles, sacks, right? So who gets those? So that's what you're looking at. Defensive tackles obviously don't usually get that many chances unless their name is Aaron Donald to get that kind of thing, right? That many.
Well, usually IDP, don't you get like one DL, one linebacker, and one defensive back, or something like that?
It depends. So the answer is sometimes. I've played in IDP leagues where you just get one defensive player, but
I've played those too. Yeah,
and there are some where you get one of each. It depends on the league.
Yeah, they call those like what you're talking about, James, is like defensive IDP 1, 2, 3. So you get one defensive lineman, one linebacker, and one defensive back. And your three. To answer your question about the rookies, Nick Bolton from Kansas City.
There you go.
He's been stellar.
Right. And obviously Diggs, he gives up a lot, but takeaways. Yeah.
Yeah. But as you were talking about, Bill, those points, those interceptions and touchdowns and those kind of things have been really remarkable. And then let's see who else. I guess Eric Stokes from DB. He's been pretty studly. So those are sort of the leaders as far as defensive goes.
Okay, let's go on here. Buffalo or Jacksonville?
Okay, so
start him, sit him. Start him, sit him.
You definitely want to get Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and maybe Cole Beasley, as much as I hate the guy. Those three guys. And then as far as the Jaguars go, James Robinson, if he's healthy. If not, then I wouldn't start any of those running backs. Maybe Marvin Jones. That's about it, probably.
Going back to the Bills, I've seen a lot of leagues where Emmanuel Sanders is still.
That's a good call. I forgot.
Yeah, if he's available, that's
yeah. Manny Sanders put up a goose egg last week, but that's just a fluke week for him. He should be, usually when you see these players put up a goose egg that have been solid for most of the season, they just put up like 1 or 0 points. They usually bounce back the next week with an overload of points. So you definitely want to get in Manny Sanders.
Yeah, a lot of guys last week, especially guys that are new to fantasy, after you put up the 0, kind of throw him out to the wolves.
They do.
So a lot, if you make sure you check your sheet every week and see who's available in your league, you kind of be surprised.
Absolutely.
So, Minnesota at Baltimore.
And Dalvin Cook, I don't know what is going on with Dalvin Cook, but I think he's the RB 22 or something, 18. He's just been awful this year. As far as Dalvin Cook goes,
there have been 4 times when I've had both he and Fournette in my lineup at running back, and Fournette 4 times that they've both been in together has outscored him.
Wow. So that just shows you right there exactly how off Dalvin Cook has been this year. I don't know if just the offense isn't moving or what, but this is not working. You got to go Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen is a consideration. That's about it as far as those guys. Ravens, Lamar Jackson, of course, Marquise Brown. I like Rashad Bateman as a flex option, but if you're still, I don't know about him yet, and those kind of things, because he's only played 2 games, I believe, this year. And then almost any of the running backs, if you want to play Russian roulette with the running backs, Devontae Freeman or or whatever. But I don't. I stay away from those situations.
Khalil Herbert, who I picked up early in the season, has really come through for me. He shouldn't be available, but if you have somebody so silly as to not have rostered him, please do so immediately.
Yeah, actually, he got picked up in my league, in my home league on Thursday night.
It took that long?
It took that long. Yeah. The only reason why I didn't roster him is because I have enough running backs, and I just, David Montgomery's going to come back soon, and I just didn't have room for him. He wasn't going to play, so I didn't want to waste my waivers for him.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was just like, this guy is out here. I don't understand why he's still out here, but I'm like, okay, whatever.
Loss at the Chargers at the Eagles.
So Chargers, Herbert has also been disappointing this year, not putting up the points he's been expected to. Eckler, if he's healthy, and then Mike Williams, he's been sort of disappointing last couple of weeks. Keenan Allen is, and I don't know if they're just like, okay, Mike Williams, you've had enough. So now we're going to look towards Keenan Allen to sort of boost his stats. But I think both are startable. And then Philadelphia, I don't even know what to do with that running back situation. Kenny Gainwell was supposed to be the hot rookie waiver wire wonder last week and did nothing. He had
Jordan Howard, baby. You should have seen that one coming, right?
Oh, yeah, Jordan Howard. Sure. I mean, I'm sure Vegas did really well with that one. And so, 2 touchdowns from Howard, 2 touchdowns from Boston Scott. And then they're like, well, we're up 41-0. Let's give Kenny Gainwell a shot at see what he can do. And he actually had more attempts than both Scott and Jordan, but that was just because they gave him, he had full-time load at a 41-0 lead. And just like, so he was a total forgotten about. So I don't know what they're going to do. Kenny Gainwell could be the guy this week. Who knows? But I'm staying away from all of it. Jalen Hurts, still, as long as he's, a starting quarterback in Philadelphia, you're going to want to start him.
Jalen Hurts has put up more points than Aaron Rodgers.
Wow. That's crazy.
Now, I'm a big fan of Boston Scott. Now, once again, not so much as a guy you're going to start or even as RB2, but one of those sort of emergency, oh my God, let's see what happens flexes. especially in deep leagues, and I'm in a lot of deep leagues. I don't know why they don't realize what they've got on their hands there. He's literally Darren Sproles.
Yeah.
I mean, almost literally the reincarnation of Darren Sproles. If they were to use him the same way they use Darren Sproles, he would give you consistently,
if they would use him
fantasy wise.
If they would use him the way they use Darren Sproles, he would not be on the waiver wire.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, also true.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a guy that has I rode with Darren Sproles many times when I wouldn't ride with anybody else, and Boston Scott has that talent, but it just doesn't seem like they have centered their game around his.
Yeah, doesn't even realize what they have. It's frustrating to me.
I know it's like you're in a crap game and you're the only guy that has the loaded dice and you don't want to play him. It's like anyway. That's enough about my criminal activities. Let's talk about Green Bay at Kansas City. Start them, sit them.
Well, I don't know if you can start any. I mean, you're going to definitely start Aaron Jones. You're going to start Devontae Adams, but I don't know about Devontae Adams with the quarterback situation.
Sure.
Kansas City, well, Patrick Mahomes, he used to be just, you go in and you score 40 points and you'd be happy. Now it's like, can he give me 20? And so, but you got to start him because you probably picked him, either round 1 or round 2, maybe round 3, depending on where, but or with your rules of your leagues. But in my hometown league, he went number 4th overall. That's just because we have 6 points for quarterbacks. But outside of that, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Damian Williams, he should maybe score a touchdown. But yeah, it's
so
league.
So Mike, in one of my once again rather deep, but I keep doing this to myself leagues. I did have Aaron Rodgers.
Bill.
But I had
Mike has 60 leagues.
I know. No, it's not. I don't ever plan to play in that number of leagues.
Yeah,
I will never play in that number of leagues. Ever. That will never happen.
I don't ever want anybody on this show to claim that they're playing deep.
Well, no, I don't play anywhere close to that number of leagues. I just play in leagues with like 20 to 16 players in them because I'm an idiot. But the point is that obviously, like everyone else who had to try to scramble around and find a replacement for Aaron Rodgers, I was able to get Mike White. Very excited about that, and of course, he got hurt.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because, of course, the fantasy gods, at least in this particular league, do not like me. This is my league where I'm 3-5. But so here's what I've got left going. I've got Myles Gaskin's Jeremy McNicholas. So luckily I picked him up even before the injury, so I had him already. I've got Devontae Adams still in my starting lineup, and maybe you can help me to figure out what to do with that. Justin Jefferson, Dalton Schultz, Nyheim Hines in the flex. Thank you, Nyheim Hines.
Yeah.
I have the Chiefs defense, which I was really nervous about this matchup, but I'm slightly less nervous about this matchup. I've got Michael Badgley, who came through for me. Thank you, Michael Badgley. So those guys have played. So I've got Brandon Ayuk on the bench, who I was super excited about coming into the season. He has not quite lived up to expectation.
Right.
Obviously, Aaron Rodgers not available. Jalen Reagor was another guy I thought might have a breakthrough season. Well, not so much. Pat Freiermuth came through for me 1 week when Dalton Schultz was on a bye, so I appreciated that tremendously. He's on the bench. I picked up Dearness Johnson. Of course, now he's back on the bench. Kendrick Bourne, Tajay Sharp, and then on IR I have Michael Gallup. But if I am going to do something with Devontae Adams, what would that something be?
Yeah, if you're like, okay, well, I just don't like the quarterback situation, and Devontae Adams is going to give me like 5 points, I would either move Freiermuth into a flex option if possible.
Okay.
I don't know if you can though, because you probably
Nyheim Hines actually was my flex. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
it was like, so I appreciated that from him. I don't think Freiermuth is going to give me darn near 16.8 points. I don't think I was getting that from Freiermuth anyway. So
no. Let's see. I think either Kendrick Bourne or Tajay Sharp would be your best options. Atlanta went to Sharp with Calvin Ridley out, but I don't know if that was just a game plan and they plan on using Gage more because Gage is, this wide receiver 2 on that team.
Right. He's he's also more of a big play threat.
Right. So but it was Sharp last week. So if it's Sharp this week, then that's their guy. I'd probably go Bourne if you want to sort of just avoid that kind of risk. Kendrick Bourne seems to be the guy for me.
So you feel like Bourne's going to come through with double digits or close to double digits?
I would say he would be, more than any of these, like more than Ayuk, more than Rieger, more than Sharp. Yeah.
I want to go back to your defenses there for a minute, Mike, because right now I'm playing the Carolina defense, but I have a chance at one of these three: Cincinnati, Dallas, or the Saints. Should I keep Carolina, or should I go with one of those other three? And if so, which one of those three?
I like Dallas probably this week against the Broncos. Bridgewater is doesn't really turn the ball much over though. Bengals are definitely one of those teams that are going to be point heavy, but they have a tough matchup. Who are they playing at? Oh, the Browns.
They're playing the Browns, and the Browns are playing at Cincinnati.
At Cincinnati, I would probably lean towards Cincinnati this week. Mayfield and
the Saints are playing against the Falcons.
Or the Falcons too. I would either go Saints or Cincinnati. If I have to make a choice, I'd probably go Saints.
Okay, interesting. All right. Arizona at San Francisco.
San Francisco, yuck. Let's see. Well, definitely you're going to go Debo if he's healthy.
He's right now. He's listed as questionable.
Questionable.
So he'll play. Debo is an absolute monster. He'll play.
Which means I have to put him in my lineup and wait until the Sunday morning inactives.
Yeah, but you'll be all right. If he's questionable, he's going to play. Elijah Mitchell, and then
is Elijah Mitchell still viable? I mean, you talk about a guy that's up and down. Now, here's a guy, 1 week he gives you 3 points. Next week he gives you, 15 or 16. I mean, when you talk about consistency, or is this just a matchup that favors him?
So a couple things. One, Elijah Mitchell, the reason why he doesn't give you that many points on those times when he's only putting up those threes because he doesn't catch the ball. So he's just not a receiver out of the backfield. So you're going to miss out on those opportunities to add to your points. But he is the starting running back in San Francisco, and that always holds value. So he's getting 15, 16, maybe sometimes even 17 carries a game. And usually it's a rotating backfield, but they like Mitchell enough where they're just like, you're our guy. So that's why he gets those big points too, because he's some that is involved in the offense quite a bit. And you want that volume. As far as the Cardinals, we'll see how Kyler Murray feels. I know he's been day-to-day all week. He's going to get the start, but we'll see. DeAndre Hopkins, James Conner, and Chase Edmonds are kind of the same kind of guys. Zach Ertz, if you need a tight end, and that's probably it. Maybe Christian Kirk, especially if I think AJ Green's out. So
yeah, AJ Green is still out. He's still out.
Christian Kirk should be getting a lot of those targets.
Tennessee at the Rams.
Stafford for sure. Henderson for sure, Cup for sure, Woods for sure. And then as far as Titans, you maybe Tannehill in a streaming situation. AJ Brown maybe.
AJ Brown's been pretty good the last 2 weeks.
He has been. He's been turning it around. Now that Henry is out, I want to see how this offense operates. I'm not trusting anybody in this offense until I can see how it moves without Derrick Henry. So, yeah, I would go AJ Brown, but just temper expectations for him.
So now, you mentioned no Derrick Henry, but, you do, as far as the names, you do have, a talented wide receiver core at Tennessee. Which is it time to start trading some of those guys, AJ Brown and the like?
I would, in redraft, especially for sure. I would see what people are interested in AJ Brown. Myself, I think this offense is going to slow down quite a bit because Derrick Henry is that fire plug, and if he goes, then the whole system sort of crumbles. So it will suffice, but you're not going to see the great points out of any of these guys.
Our Monday night matchup, the Bears at the Steelers.
Yeah, Najee Harris, absolutely. Deontay Johnson, absolutely. Pat Freiermuth is an upcoming tight end. He's playing the big slot, and he's getting a lot of targets, gotten some touchdowns. He's been someone that's been a pretty dang good rookie for a tight end. As far as the Bears go, the name escaped me. Bill, what's the running back for the Bears?
The guys come through for me has been Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, Herbert. Yeah, you definitely want to get him involved. And that's probably it.
Okay.
Glorious assortment.
And as you know, our predictions also include the Thursday night game, which would be Baltimore at Miami.
Oh, Baltimore and Miami. Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews. I forgot to mention him the last time. Let's see. I think that's it. Unless you
you got to pass, man. You can't just keep. Go ahead. That's right.
Yeah, no, Marquise Brown, Justin Bateman. I'm back in the 80s, man. Justin Bateman.
Yes.
Rashad Bateman.
This is our distant cousin, Rashad.
Yeah.
Yes. You're thinking about Justine and Justin. They're distant cousins.
Exactly. I do that every single time. Rashad Bateman. I'm sorry, who are the Ravens playing again? Oh, Miami, right?
Miami, yes.
So Jalen Waddle is Devontae Parker's back for sure, and then Myles Gaskin. If you're not having a lot of better choices,
I do not.
Oh, and Gesicki. I forgot about Gesicki.
Bill, any questions? Any observations you want to make with Mike before?
So I'm trying to figure out what to do with Chase Claypool. I really thought he had a chance to be at least a solid wide receiver 2 coming out of what I saw previously. He has been
Big Ben's throwing the ball. He doesn't have a quarterback.
I understand. He's been sporadically a flex this year. So as of now, I've got Teddy Bridgewater starting the quarterback. Ty Johnson came through-ish for me. Jeremy McNicholas, T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, Dalton Schultz, as I mentioned earlier, Chase Claypool in the flex. The Dallas defense, and then Brian Johnson, place kicker. On the bench, I have Hunter Long. He's really, once again, it's a dynasty league. He's a future consideration guy.
Right.
Marshall, same deal. Jameson Crowder, who I might be dropping. We'll see what happens with that. I have Diami Brown, once again, a futures guy. Right. Elijah Moore, I thought was a futures guy, but he showed up.
I popped last on Thursday.
He went nuts, but I didn't play him. I did not see that coming, unfortunately.
Who would have? I wouldn't have played him either. I mean, he has done nothing all year long. Well,
I guess I should have seen. Well, originally when Mike White was starting, I was like, but then because sometimes you'll just get squirrely, but then and then when he got hurt, I was like, oh man, thank God I didn't start more. And then he goes nuts with welcome to fantasy. Tom Brady's on the bench. I have Cole Beasley, who I'm wondering if I should swap into the flex for Chase Claypool. Tim Patrick.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. So, okay. Well, there we go.
And I'm with Mike on here. I'm not a Cole Beasley guy, but you got to go for consistency.
Well, he is consistent. Hence my little Spanish Cole Beasley thing about Verges. But okay, so then I guess.
I mean, well, what do you think, Mike? That was that was just me off the top. But what do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, with the.
Well, I'll finish the rest of my flex.
Yeah, go ahead, give me the rest.
Zach Pascal's already played. So Tim Patrick, Ramondre Stevenson, KJ Osborne, Randall Cobb, Samaje Perine, and Jordan Howard are the rest of my flex options.
Yeah, I think you got to go with Cole Beasley. Well, Mike, you're our expert here. You tell us.
Yeah, I think it would. I agree. I was leaning Cobb for a second there, but I forgot Aaron Rodgers is out. So
he is. Yes.
His
soulmate will not be starting this game.
Yeah, exactly. Beasley's a guy, I believe. Yeah, especially against the Jaguars. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. That's what I was wondering. I was going back and forth with myself about this one. Well, I think we talked Christian Kirk a second ago. I just want to, since in yet another league, I have right now Christian Kirk in the flex, but other people I could, unfortunately, I didn't play Ty Johnson in this league. But once again, Randall Cobb, but missing his soulmate. Anthony Miller, KJ Osborne, CJ Uzoma are my other options because Antonio Brown is on a bye. And Devontae Parker is on a injured reserve. So right now I have Tim Patrick and Jarvis Landry and Justin. It's a 3 wide receiver league. So I have Justin Jefferson, Jarvis Landry, and Tim Patrick, and then Darren Waller's thankfully back from injury. Then I have right now it's Christian Kirk in the flex, and so my only really other options are either with Lockett on a bye and Brown on a bye are Randall Cobb, Anthony Miller, KJ Osborne, or CJ Uzoma.
Who does Minnesota play? Because KJ Osborne could get you points if they're targeting him and not Conklin.
Right.
Baltimore. I'd probably go Cobb. Even though
Cobb over Christian Kirk.
Oh no! Keep Christian Kirk there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was thinking you were thinking options out, but no. If you start a bench, definitely Christian Kirk over all of them.
Okay, so just confirming, basically, making sure.
Yes, sir. Yeah, definitely Christian Kirk.
Minnesota is playing the who's it? The Rams? No, they're playing the Chargers. No, that's next week. Sorry,
that's next week. They're playing the Ravens, right?
Yeah, they're playing. Let me get back to week 9 here.
Yeah, Ravens and Vikings this week.
Yeah. Ravens are getting ready to go through a pretty tough little stretch here. We'll see how that works out for them. Let's see. We covered them all. So, Bill, you ready to go into our predictions, or do you have some more fantasy questions?
I'm sure I have more fantasy questions. Let me see. Give me just a quick moment. Let me see. Who do I? What's the issue here? Is there any chance that Marquez Valdez-Scantling will become a thing? Now, obviously not this week, probably with Jordan Love. I keep hearing various times that he's looking great in practice and, he's big and he's fast and they want to try to utilize him more. I hear this, right, often. and then it never seems to actually happen. Is he one of those guys where it's just one of those things where you keep hearing about it, but it never actually happens? Is this his permanent state of affairs in your opinion?
Well, going into this year, I would say with absolutely yes, but he's improved. He's not outstanding by any means, but I think depending on if you're in this deep league or situation, dynasty, those kind of things, I do believe that he's someone that you would want to hang on to and see how it plays out for maybe 1 or 2 years. But there has been improvement with MVS.
Okay. I mean, I liked him as a player. I liked him coming out of South Florida, Central Florida. Once again, big, fast, usually a good thing. But yeah, it just seemed like for whatever reason, it never seemed to always come together. So I'm trying to.
He just dropped the ball.
Yeah, that would be the issue. Yeah.
He would catch the ball, he would drop the ball, and people would be like, "Well, here's, as you're mentioning, here's this guy that has all these outstanding skills. He's tall, fast, all these kind of things, big, but every single time Rodgers, boom, off his hands. But they're using him differently a little bit. They're using him in shorter routes, and then targeting him in the end zone, and he seems to be doing better because of that. So maybe it's his ball tracking skills that he was lacking, or whatever. But yeah, he's definitely seen improvement.
Okay, well, I feel slightly better about him as a player than I always liked him, but like I said, the whole trust tree, he wasn't able to stay in the trust tree with Aaron Rodgers. So if indeed that is going to change, then I guess I will hold out hope that he pays off for me sometime in the near future.
Yeah, I would hold and see what he looks like next year, and maybe then a year out, and that could all change. Aaron Rodgers could be gone, and who knows what's happening.
Yes, that could change everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's talk about Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Now, I'm looking at some new things here. It says Aaron Rodgers took ivermectin and hydrochloroquine over the vaccine. There was some talks of sage and lavender and running through the fields, and now he's just victimized by the woke mob, and he really, if you had followed up on your question about his immunization, he would have been able to tell you, and you would not have assumed that when he said he was immunized, that was your assumption that he got the vaccine. That had nothing to do with him. Okay. And the fact that he said, that the rest of the players in his locker room should get vaccinated, well, that was just another observation by the guy in the room that's smarter than you are. So I get back to my little rant here. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers tests positive for COVID-19. He lied about his immunization status. And presumably, there's a 10-day protocol for unvaccinated players, which, like I said, would make him, I think, eligible the Saturday before the Chiefs game next week at the earliest. But then there are some some NFL protocols also involved here that possibly also might be in play. So, Mike, what's your thoughts first on the whole Aaron Rodgers situation? Did he just flat out lie, or did we just misunderstand him?
I don't think there was any misunderstanding when he just says, "Yeah, I've been immunized," or And then comes back and finds out that he wasn't. And so now he's reeling and being defensive and acting like a child. And he's always sort of been a child. He's sort of always been such a jackass. I mean, I know people personally that roomed with him during football season and players, and they've all said pretty much the same thing. Aaron Rodgers is a jackass, and he is. I've had a personal experience with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I don't really like to take one situation with, someone that's disgruntled because you don't know what they're going through. Everybody has bad days and everything. But situation I had with Aaron Rodgers personally, he pretty much was a jackass. So when you have all these moments and times where people spend more than just one day with him and all these cumulative situations that transpire him to being a jackass, I pretty much think the dude's a jackass, and he got caught, and now he's acting like his typical self, being a jackass.
Now, we had a little discussion about this Wednesday, talking about, how much did the Packers organization know? Did he willingly mislead the organization? But even at that, this man is taking part in normal activities. You see him walking around the sidelines without a mask. You've heard of him being inside of the facilities without being a mask. All of these contrary to the protocols set up by the NFL, as well as the Packer organization. So one thing that I ask, and I looked back at what the NFL did to the Pats about the underinflated balls and whatnot. You also look at the taping that the Pats did. So I'm thinking, that there's no way that somebody in that organization did not know, either did not know that Aaron had not been immunized, or that they willingly took part in the deception by not following through.
Right.
Because that's to me, that's part of the organization's responsibility.
Sure.
So should the NFL take draft picks from Green Bay like they did the Pats? Your thoughts, Mike?
That's a tough one. I think if it, and I do believe, and when you're dealing with, I don't know how many people in, on a daily basis, coaches, assistant coaches, assistant to the assistant coaches, and weight lift, exercise guys, and there's got to be
all
someone.
boys. I mean, come on, all these people that you're around on a daily basis.
Right. There's someone that Rodgers turned to and said, you know what, in a private moment, I'm not this. I would the chances are so high that he didn't do that it would be very surprising.
He had to go and tell somebody, hey man, this ivermectin stuff really works, man. Burn, just take some ivermectin, burn a little bit of sage, throw some lavender around the house. I mean, I'm
good to go.
I'm going through, but really, should the NFL,
I think
in order to get this point across, not just to the league, but also to the Packers. I mean, you set up very strict rules. If someone else gets COVID-19, I mean, what about these players that have been on COVID-19? Can you trace that back to Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. I mean, exactly. Or players that he came across with in the opposing team that might have gotten it. So yeah, I think if the NFL is going to do exactly what you're saying, if they're a league of their word, I guess, and want to back up what they've been mandating these players and those kind of things, then absolutely. I don't know if draft picks, that seems a little severe to me, but they absolutely need to do something.
I mean, come on. If you find them, if you find Green Bay $1 million, what good is that going to do?
Yeah, that's not going to. Yeah, that's
seriously.
Right. It would have to be like a 6th or 7th round pick right now at this point until we find out more, of course. Right?
Wait a minute. What did they take for New England, Bill? Was that a 3rd round pick they took? What did they take for New England?
Which one? The inflated football?
Yeah. No, there wasn't a 3rd for the inflated balls thing. That pick was for the taping thing, for tape gate or whatever.
Okay.
The balls thing I thought was a later pick. Let's see, what did they lose for that one?
Okay, we'll say a 6th rounder.
I think that's fair. Unless we find out more, of course. If there's more information that comes out where the team was hiding and all that kind of stuff, then there's obviously more of a problem. But as we stand right now, I would say a 6th round pick is probably.
But what about not holding Aaron Rodgers responsible? I mean, that has to be a team responsibility. You cannot shift that over to me. You can't shift that over to the league. When a team says, I think, or the league is claiming that 93% of its players are vaccinated,
right?
And 97 or 98% of the surrounding the auxiliary components of the NFL are vaccinated. You have to come down hard on this. Otherwise, it sounds kind of empty.
Well, I think you're right about that. I think NFL needs to call. I don't know who the owner. I mean, the owners are the fans, but so whoever's in charge of that Packers organization need to have a talk and decide on what should happen and what looks good for the league as far as standing up for the league and that kind of thing. But you're right; it should not go from the league consequence to a player. It should, unless it's a fine or that kind of thing. But as far as a bigger scope, like losing draft picks and those kind of things, it needs to be handed down from the organization down to the owner, and then the owner to the player.
Bill, have you changed your mind any since Thursday?
Well, what Bill? Before you
start, my mind hasn't been changed because nothing new has happened. It can be proven.
Mike was trying to say something.
Sorry to interrupt, Bill. I didn't know what you decided. What was your mind made up of?
On Thursday.
As I was supposed to say, my mind was never actually made up. I said if it can be proven. Which is the question. If it can be proven that the team knew and went along with this charade, then yes. And I'd be fine with them losing a 3rd or whatever if it can be proven.
Right.
If it cannot be proven that they knew, then how do you punish the franchise? Now, you certainly could sit Rodgers for another game without pay, and I guess that's by extension punishing the franchise. I mean, with Deflategate, obviously that has to do with thing has to do with on-field play, but that was a 4-game suspension for Deflategate for Brady, which is how we got to see Jimmy Garoppolo, right? We finally got a chance to see, or was it Brissett? Which one of their backups was it actually?
No, we got to see Jimmy G. I thought.
Garoppolo.
It was Garoppolo, yeah.
Brissett had gone over to the Colts.
Yeah, Brissett was gone, right? Okay, so that's how they created, in fact, the trade market for Garoppolo. So it ended up actually being a good thing, sort of, I guess, in that nobody knew what Garoppolo could or couldn't do until that point.
Yeah, well, so you would be fine with the league giving him an extension. I mean, extending or giving him a suspension for X number of games.
I'd be fine with the team suspending him, yes, because we know he did something or didn't do something, or I'm going to put it, we don't have the ability, as far as I know yet, to prove what the team did or didn't do. Now, if that changes, if somebody comes forward and says, oh, yeah, he came in on blah, blah, blah day and told us, well, then that's different. But as of now, why would you be punishing the team?
Well, I mean, if it came out today in Yahoo Sports that he took ivermectin. Like I said, somebody had to know, or maybe they didn't. But what do you think here, Mike? Should the NFL order additional suspensions because of the outright lying about I'm immune? I mean that's what he said. I'm immunized. That
Yeah,
those were the words that he used. He didn't say I
right,
was vaccinated. He said I was immunized.
right.
Well, well,
It
so it turns out that was a lie because he has COVID-19, so he wasn't
right,
immunized.
exactly. It's almost like Bill Clinton saying, I did not have sexual relations with that
That
woman.
woman, right? What's that
Um,
on the dress there, Bill? Oh well, I mean,
yeah, exactly. What's that? What's that?
Perhaps it's ivermectin
Yeah,
or
yeah,
lavender or sage.
But yeah, I mean, it's a straight out lie. The fact that he's trying to defend himself out of this I think shows how much of a character or lack of character that Aaron Rodgers actually has. There's got to be something to come out of this, some kind of consequence. There's no way he should be able to escape free from this situation. There's just way too much on the line. There's way too much pressure on as far as what the NFL wants these players to do. Just to let him not only lie, but to break the rules, as you were saying, James, with him not wearing a mask and all that kind of stuff. There's just no way he should come across unconsequenced.
Now, let's just say, okay, we're saying 2 games, this game and the Kansas City game. If there was an additional suspension, what does this do to Green Bay as a title or playoff contender?
No, it kills them. They're dead. They are dead in the water. Unless they can get some miracle play out of Jordan Love or Blake Bortles or something, but they're done. There's no way.
Do you concur, Bill?
Well, I don't, because I don't know what Jordan Love will look like. I mean, Jordan Love could come out and look. Jordan Love was considered by the entire football world to be a better prospect than Mike White. We saw what Mike White did. So, with way more surrounding talent than Mike White, I would also like to throw in there. I mean, people were defending Zach Wilson's play by saying, well, look who he's playing with. And then Mike White comes out and does what he does.
That's better, yeah.
So my point is that Jordan Love think about how many receivers that are in the depth chart for the Packers would be the best receiver on the Jets, right?
Right. Yep.
All of the running backs practically on the roster for Green Bay would be the best running back for the Jets. Their offensive line is superior. I'm not sure why we are so convinced that Jordan Love won't do well. Now, obviously, it's a pig in a poke, right? I mean, nobody knows. The Packers don't really know, so none of us really know. But he could come out and look great. He could.
Let's just give you the Packers schedule. Let's see. Week 9 is the Chiefs. Week 10 are the Seahawks. Those are the 2. Well, let's see. Wait. We have to start with. The Chiefs. He's out definitely. Mm-hmm. Seahawks would be the earliest he could come back.
Right.
If he had a suspension, let's just say a 3-game suspension, it would be week 11 would be Minnesota. Week 12 would be the Rams, and then of course week 13 would be their bye. He would be coming back to the Bears, the Ravens, the Browns, the Vikings, and they finish with the Lions.
Right. So if they went 3-2 without him, and he comes back and they win all but 1 game that he's back, why wouldn't they still be a threat to make the playoffs?
I was just giving you a schedule. I'm just asking. So
I'm doing the math. I mean, those are not, even the games where he's out are not exactly games that are impossible to win. we've been talking all season about how the Chiefs are not exactly a juggernaut. The Seattle Seahawks don't scare anybody. I mean,
we still don't know when Russell is coming back. So
right,
Yeah.
I'm not scared at all. Actually, if I'm the Green Bay Packers, they have from what I'm hearing, I don't see why I'd be worried. I mean, other than unless Jordan Love just comes out and looks terrible. I mean, obviously that's a possibility.
Right. Yeah. It all revolves around how good either one. But you do make a point. We don't know until it hits the field, and if Jordan Love is the guy that they drafted in the first round for, then they don't really lose anything. If Jordan Love was a bust of a pick, then it's going to be a real difficult road for the Packers.
Sure. And also means they have to treat the future differently, right? But
yeah,
he looks great. They look somewhat like geniuses. Even though there was a lot of controversy, criticism around the pick.
All right, guys, let's get started on our predictions here. I'm going to start with the Thursday night prediction: the Ravens against the Dolphins.
I'll go Baltimore.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like a real question, but yes. Yes.
Okay, Monday night, the Bears at the Steelers.
I got to go Steelers on this one.
Let's see. I'm looking here. Looks like tickets are pretty reasonable. You can get some as low as $48, which is not too bad. That's not too bad for the Steelers. Of course, you can always go to Houston, Miami, and only pay $7, but so the Packers and the Bears and the Steelers. Mike?
Yeah, I think the Steelers get this game. I think it's an ugly game, though. I think both defenses. Great day to start defenses. If you get either one of those defenses, kids do it.
Yeah, over under is 39 points, so that's what Vegas thinks.
And I would probably be betting the under if it's 39.
Yeah, not one of your fantastic. Hopefully, it's a defensive battle game, exciting game, and not just an overall trashy game. But I have to go with Steelers on this.
Okay, Cleveland at Cincinnati. The Clowns and the Bungles. What do you think here?
That's a tight one. Again, over under 47 points. No one seems to be scoring points in these games. I'll go Cincinnati. They came off of a really bad loss against the Jets last week. I think they're going to be looking to evict that horrible game.
Should be really good to see that the Cincinnati comes off a loss to the Jets and the Browns come off a loss to the Steelers. So we'll see who wants it the most. Denver or Dallas?
Denver, Dallas. Dallas.
Yeah. Dallas just has they have a significant talent edge at virtually every position on the roster. Like I'm trying to find a place where you'd give the edge to Denver.
Probably the secondary, maybe.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. Yep. I like Denver's safeties and corners. Well, I mean, they have a very volatile secondary. So largely thanks to Mr. Diggs, but
right.
So the Dallas secondary giveth and it taketh away. Largely Diggs giveth and it taketh away. So you're going to get some big plays, but he also might take back a pick six on you. But that they have better players at so many positions.
Yep.
Yeah. So we all picked Dallas, so Denver will probably win, but we'll see.
Yeah, right.
Houston at Miami.
Woo! This game will be fascinating.
What's the
Who
over-under
wants
on
it less?
What's the over-under on this one, Mike? 65?
No, it's the 46.5 points. Oh, Lord. Oh.
Well, here's what you have to remember. There's going to be some short fields. There's going to be some, strip sacks. There's going to be some of these teams are going to be getting the ball on the other team's 27. So I think there will probably be a fair number of points scored. They may not be scored the way you think they're going to be scored.
Yeah, I think I'll go Miami on this one. I don't think Houston cares too much anymore.
Atlanta at New Orleans.
This one's even worse. This is 41.5 points over under.
I'm going to take the over on this one. I think people are underestimating both offenses in this game. I think that you're going to see, even though it might get kind of gadgety, it's like people have forgotten who Sean Payton is. So did he end up kind of, playing it safer when he had a Hall of Fame quarterback out there? Well, yeah. But now, and this is one of the most creative, sometimes too creative, play designers and play callers, because I used to call it Sean Payton syndrome, where you get just too darn cute sometimes. But you're going to see some stuff schemed up. They're going to score points. I'm taking the over in this game. And I'm taking the Falcons.
Yeah,
it.
That's a risk. But when you're getting in the same division, it's not so much of a risk. Yeah, I got to go New Orleans on this one still, though. I think this.
Yeah, they're the better team.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling about the Falcons. I don't know why. I don't usually trust the Falcons, but this is exactly the kind of game the Falcons do win, though, right? Where everyone's like, man, the Falcons are dead. And then they win.
Yeah. I mean, if Trevor Simeon is the, quarterback for the full game, which might not be the case, Trevor Simeon throws a couple pick sixes or something, then, you might have something here for Atlanta. So I think it's going to be a closer game than what it would be with Jameis Winston behind center. But I still
it'd be right. I'm making a different prediction if Winston.
If Matty Ice is still the quarterback of the Falcons, I'm taking the Saints.
You might end up eating those words, James.
Yeah.
This is the kind of game where they rise up and win.
Look, I ate so much crow with AJ Brown and Mike that I'm not worrying about another plate here. So I'll take the Saints. The Raiders at the Giants.
Another fascinating game.
Another low-scoring game too, 46.5.
That feels about right. I think it's a 47-point game. I'm still going the over, but not very confidently.
I'm gonna go Raiders. Yeah,
same here. The Raiders are a better team than people realize, and I think a lot of sort of stuff that happened sort of ended up distracting people in the fact they've actually played pretty good football. They have one of the best young pass rushers in the game in Max Crosby, who unfortunately isn't getting the due he deserves. I mean, he's number 3 in the NFL in quarterback hurries and pressures, and he's in the top 5 he's in the top 5 in quarterback hits, pressures, and hurries. He's consistently in the backfield all the time. He's a terrific young pass rusher, and their secondary is kind of a mess. That's the only reason I'm not higher on them. We just talked about they're like the Cowboys, but without all the pick sixes. They don't get the ball back for the offense as much as the Cowboys defense does, but they do give up those, oh my God, are you kidding me, big plays. After looking solid and doing the right thing, and then they'll just give up a 70-yard bomb, that you on 3rd and 9. It's like, what are you doing? But yeah, they're a better team though. They should win this game.
I'm interested to see what Brian Edwards does in this game without Henry Ruggs.
A lot of people snapped him up, especially in some of the leagues not very fairly deep that I'm in. He got snapped up very quickly.
Yeah, I would imagine, because he'll play that role and see if he's better.
So are we all going with the Raiders here?
Yes.
Yep.
New England at Carolina. Very interesting game here. I like whenever you have a DB that has a chip on his shoulder, especially against his ex-team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going with Carolina in this one. Mike?
Yeah, I like New England in this one. if Mac Jones was a lesser turnover kind of quarterback, like a Zach Wilson or that kind of fact, that I might lean towards Carolina, but they take care of the ball very well in offense.
Yep.
And Panthers, I don't even know what they're doing right now. I don't even know if they know what they're doing right now. So I'm going to go New England.
Yeah, New England's just a better team. When sometimes you just go with the better team. They're a better team. They're better at so many different positions. Their defense is going to throw a lot of different things at the Panthers. And the thing the Panthers do best, I mean, when they have Christian out there, well, obviously it's different when they have CMC out there.
Yeah.
Right. But what they do best is get the ball to his hands. What they do best when he's out there. But when he's not out there, they have a pretty nice little package of like rollout plays and, you know, levels, concepts, throws, and they do a good job of. And Chuba Hubbard is, you know, I mean, there's a drop off, but he's still a really good young running back. He can bust things. He's fast. So they do a good job off play action. They do a good job of, you know, getting. But what is the thing that the Patriots have always been great at? Whatever thing you're best at, we take that away. You want to roll out? Nope. We're setting hard edges and keep you in the pocket. You want to run the football? Nope. We're going into that double eagle, 5-6 down lineman look and taking away all those interior running gaps. Prove to us you can throw the ball down the field.
Okay, so I'm standing alone here with Carolina. I think we all agree on Buffalo over Jacksonville.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Minnesota at Baltimore.
Wait, we already have Baltimore. Oh, we didn't. We didn't talk. Right, we talked about it before. We talked about matchups. Right, we didn't do it during the pick. Yeah, well, the Ravens. The Ravens will occasionally just put out a dud every now and again, but I don't think it'll be this week. I think it'll be a close game though. The Vikings are very good at staying in games and losing them late to teams like the Ravens, and that's what I think they'll do again this week.
Yeah, I think it all depends on what the situation is for Lamar Jackson. If he's down 7 points in the fourth quarter and the Vikings are playing pretty good against allowing him from running, then the Vikings will win. But I don't see that happening. I think Baltimore wins this game.
I think we go over on the start and sit him on this game. I thought we did.
We did.
That's what I say. That's what we talked about.
Yeah. Okay. The Rams at Philadelphia. I know the Rams Philadelphia looked great last week, but that was against the Lions.
You mean the Chargers?
Was it? The Chargers. I'm sorry. Who was it that pummeled the Lions last week?
Who beat the Lions last week?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Wasn't that Philadelphia that beat the Lions last week? 40-something. Well,
let's see. Yes, Philadelphia beat Detroit 44-6 last week.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, what are you talking? No, okay, all right. Now that we got that correct. Okay, so back to
what you said was Los Angeles Rams versus the Eagles.
Yeah. So
I was saying it was Los Angeles.
I was saying that the Eagles, did beat the Lions last week, but now they're playing the Chargers, I believe.
Correct.
And the Chargers got a little sour taste in their mouth also. So I'm looking for a beat down here. What's the over under here?
Over under is 49.5 points, and Chargers are favored by 1.5.
Whoa. Well, I guess I would definitely take the 1.5 and the over, but I'm going with the Chargers here.
I agree.
Yeah.
It will be interesting because the Chargers don't stop the run very much, or very well, I should say. And Jalen Hurts.
You're right on both. Not often and not well.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Jalen Hurts will probably find a lot of room to run with. So, I got to go Chargers, though. I think they're just an overall better team.
Yeah, I'm surprised about that one, though. Green Bay at Kansas City. What's the over under here?
The over-under is 48 points. And then Kansas City's favored by a touchdown.
Yeah, they were only favored by one until they found after Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
so predictions here. You got new quarterbacks starting, but you still got that same Kansas City defense out there.
Yep.
Well, they did, make one step up, but we'll see. I'm rolling with Kansas City here, guys. Who are you rolling with?
Yeah, I'm rolling with Kansas City. I don't think they'll cover though. This is my thing. I'm taking if I'm getting a whole touchdown, 7 whole points. I'm rolling with Green Bay with against the spread, but I don't think they're going to win the game outright. I think people will be pleasantly surprised with two things. One, how they play. But I think they're going to really, really do a great job running the football. I think that people underestimate how well Green Bay runs the football, and they're going to probably keep the pass attempts to 18 to 23 for Jordan Love. So it'll hurt to some extent, like the wide receivers, starting as I am in some cases, some Green Bay wide receivers. But don't be surprised if those running backs put up really good days against that Kansas City defense.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think also is Bakhtiari. I know one of their big offensive linemen that's been out for most of the season, if not all the season, comes back for Green Bay. So that should,
I believe you're correct. Yeah,
help them quite a bit. But that's not going to be enough. It's Chiefs, as bad as they've been, as bad as their offense has been. I think they still win this game.
Do you take the over under?
48. That would be. I would probably go under 48 points in this game.
You take Green Bay by the touchdown if you got points, or are you taking Kansas City?
Kansas City by 7. I think it's going to be under on that too.
Okay. Arizona at San Francisco.
Ooh. That's 45 over under. San Francisco favored by 3.
Huh.
I'll definitely take those 3, I think.
Yeah.
I will. I'll take the 3. And I'll take Arizona.
I agree.
But,
I think it's going to be more than that, and I think they'll score more points. I think they're kind of temporary points because of Kyler Murray, but I think they're in the same division too, so usually those games are close. But
yeah,
I think
also because it might be because of the Debo status is still
true.
on here, but I think that he's going to play.
Yep.
So I think we all think he's going to play. Last game. The Sunday night game, the Titans at the Rams.
The Rams are favored by 7, and this is the biggest scoring game, 52.5 points over under.
I'll definitely take the Rams points. I have to think about that over under, but I'll take the Rams and I'll give up the points.
What do you got, Bill?
I'll take the over, and I think the Rams win, but don't cover. I think that this ends up being a nail biter, like back and forth. I think the Titans are really good against good teams. The Titans are not as good against bad teams. Like if this were the Jets, I'd be more worried. Or the Texans. Oh man, I'd be worried as hell if they were playing the Texans. But the Rams, they're going to play great against the Rams.
I see this as a blowout. 52.5 probably. I think Rams will score more than 7 points over the Titans. I think Rams are just going to blow them
out. Okay, guys. Well, any final thoughts? Be it college, pro, whatever. Let's get our final thoughts. And hey, this is about the closest we've ever come to start leaving on time. So 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 we got time for full soliloquies here. Oh man, Bill, we're going to.
I'm not sure how to feel
that,
about some of these
that's
slings
not
and
a
arrows.
that's not a green light, Bill. We're not going to do the Ides of March here, but
Uh,
but go ahead, Bill.
well, this is the time of year when several things start to happen. Obviously, in terms of college football, it's you're deep into your conference schedule and stuff like that. But for those of us that track who's getting invited to what All-Star game, East West Shrine, NFLPA, HBCU Senior Bowl, or Reese's Senior Bowl, and some of the other smaller and ancillary All-Star games, those invitations in many cases have started going out and already gone out in the past few days, and it really starts to pick up now. You really see the pace of the offers going out and being accepted. And it should be pointed out that while for casual fan or for people who just have sort of a rooting interest and things like that, it doesn't seem all that important, but it is actually one of the most important parts of the evaluation process, particularly for players that have not already been four square in front of the eyes of scouts. And they love to say, oh, if you can play, we'll find you. And there's some truth to that, but they didn't really find Adam Thielen. You know what I mean? Like Adam Thielen found Adam Thielen. He showed up, drove, several miles to show up to a tryout, right? For a lot of guys, this will be their last best chance or their first best chance, even in some cases, to establish that they will have the opportunity to play at the next level. So if you're an NEIA kid, if you're a Division III kid, if you're a Division II kid, they may or may not have even heard your name before. But if you get invited to the right All-Star game, you get in the right situation, and you start to show that you can hold up against guys from Texas and USC, guys from Miami, guys from Michigan and Ohio State, and Alabama and Ole Miss and Auburn and all that. You show that it's football and you're able to play football at a high level no matter who you're playing against. This is an incredibly important part of the process. And so I'm in the process myself of figuring out which All-Star game I'll be attending and covering. And it used to be you could kind of cheat and spend a couple of days at East West Shrine and then get up to the Senior Bowl. But now East West Shrine has moved all the way from St. Pete / Tampa to Las Vegas, thereby making it impossible. So now you have to choose if you're going to the Senior Bowl or going to East West Shrine, because it's, you can't really do both. Or you have to book a whole separate flight at least. You can't just rent a car and, drive up the Floribama coast between the two. But I am excited about this time of year because some of these young men that I've been tracking and following and getting to know, in some cases I get to know them obviously more because I get to talk to them before practices or after practices or between practices. I get to talk to scouts, get to talk to coaches, and get a better feel for what the future will be for some of these players. And in some cases, I put a bug in somebody's ear. Hey, so-and-so's not here, but he should be here. Check this kid's tape out. And I'm very happy and proud to know that for a couple of guys, it's definitely worked out, and they're having successful NFL careers. This is an incredibly important part of the process because it's that first face-to-face extended opportunity for coaches and scouts to be around some of these players. So I don't know if any of you guys are really into that whole part of it, but if you do get a chance to go to NFLPA or Shrine or Senior Bowl or HBCU Senior Bowl or really any of the other, or the Legacy Bowl or any of the others, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, there's always a few bowls out here that I have a chance to get a chance to go to. Unfortunately, the Rose Bowl is not
Is
one of
James
them.
muted or is it just me?
No, I can hear him. He's a little bit low. But...
it is just me.
All right, let me try again. But
I think it was just me. I think that was me.
Okay. Even though I know some people that are alumni of USC, I don't get a chance to go to the Rose Bowl, but every once in a while, there's some very good games out here at San Diego State, and usually there's there's a few tickets that are set aside for the locals, and you can always get a good game out here in Southern California. Within
San Diego State has a terrific secondary, and they have a great secondary coach. I think,
honor.
yeah, I love their secondary coach.
Real quick, I'm watching the start of this Texas A&M game. Was it Texas A&M is, I believe, 14, and they're playing Auburn, which is number 12. Texas A&M is ahead 3-zip. Any thoughts on this game?
Oh, that's probably going to be a good game.
Right. I mean, there we go. 100% agree. That's going to be a good game. Yes.
All right, guys. Mike, your final thoughts, man. Let's get up out of here.
So
Okay.
I think just sort of to touch on that with getting to see the bowl games and stuff is the scouting aspect, in which I like to do quite a bit.
Yep.
I don't do it for any team or anything, but I've learned how to scout through classes and those kind of things, and it's the practices that really showcase what these players can do.
Yep.
Many people look at the games and their results and see, oh, well, he only caught 2 passes for 15 yards, which means he's like trash. But in reality, if he's blowing up defensive backs that are, first round picks or second round picks or whatever, and he's targeted as a 6th round pick going into those practices, his value is going to skyrocket. And very, very, I mean, unless they're doing great things in the game or those kind of things, the game isn't really looked at. It's all about how they do individual matchups and, their traits and against those individual matchups. So definitely, if you're interested in those kind of things, look at what they're doing during practice and how they're developing as players, especially against one-on-one matchups.
Yeah, well, hey, another great Saturday, guys. Hopefully, we'll see everybody next week. Bill,
Yes, sir.
See you Thursday. If you're around Monday, give me a text or
All right.
something. Let me know if you're around. And
so Monday I will. I mean, I can't answer yet. I don't know. I have to look at. I will be out of town I'll be pulling a Demetrius, but I'll be at a conference until Wednesday. I get back in Chicago Wednesday. So I don't know yet. I guess it depends. I have to look at the conference schedule, and I have to.
If you're sitting around, not having nothing to do after dinner, then let us know, and we'll bring you in. Mike, see you next Saturday, and you got anything going on, man, that we should know about? Where they find you on social media, all that good stuff.
RFL Red Zone for Twitter is pretty much my hub for social media, and then every Tuesday and Friday, I have 2 different articles going out. One about what you should look for as your flexing players, and that's on Undroppables. And then I have Waiver Wire, either on YouTube with Fantasy Doctors. That's probably the big one. That's like we get normally like 4,000 to 5,000 views for that one. And then I have an article out with Intervention that usually comes out on Tuesday for Waiver Wire.
All right, well, hey, Bill, come on, get your plug in there for social media also.
Well, I just dropped a bunch of videos this morning, and I'll drop some more videos. So since it takes me a while to get through the tape study to do my superlatives, they're always a couple weeks behind. So my week 6 superlatives have dropped. My week 7 superlatives are about to drop, hopefully later today, if not tomorrow morning. And then week 8 will probably be sometime next week. And then it'll take me a while to get through week 9 because I'm taping all those games as we speak, since I'm doing this show right now. So I'm writing an article for Around the Block, which normally I write sports stuff, but I have Around the Block Black History. So I'm going to be writing about a couple of insurrections whereby racially mixed governments in America were overthrown by white supremacists, including one that took place in 1883 and November of 1883. In fact, November 3rd. And the other one was on the 10th of November of 1898 in Wilmington, North Carolina. And these things don't get discussed for whatever reason, where people say, oh, an insurrection. Oh, my God. Yeah, this is I mean, I would say it's not a big deal, but there have been more armed insurrections where governments have been overthrown in this country than people seem to realize. So I'll be writing about that for Around the Block Black History.
Well, that's cool.
Well, yeah, anybody that wants to catch up with me, you can catch me on Facebook. Just go into J.E. King 3. We have about seven or eight pages there, a couple political, 2 sports pages, of course, and you can always catch us on Thursday on the Sports Crib, and here on Saturday on the Sports Crib Special Edition, and the winner is. So have a good weekend, everyone. Enjoy sports, and we'll see you back here next week. Have a great weekend.
Take care, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Definitely. Bye.